Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome into a brand new week in the National Football League. As tonight, we'll get things started with Thursday Night Football. Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Denver Broncos on this live edition of NFL Daily. We will catch up to speed on the latest happenings across the NFL with the latest news and rumors as we'll be discussing what's going on with Saquon Barkley. We'll also talk trade destinations for some of the top trade candidates across the league. And we'll have a Q&A mailbag coming up at the end of the show as well. Hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the mailbag. As you guys file in and get the show started, shout out your favorite team, and we will shout you out as we get this show on the road and get things going here on Thursday. And I got to tell you, it's a good place to be anytime I'm hanging out with fans across the NFL and get to see what you guys have on your minds as we're already at week number 6, folks. Checking in on the chat, I see XD Gamer 22 is saying Duval. Love it from XD Gamer 22. Antonio Brown is in the chat. Oh man, everybody is warned accordingly. Yo, Junior Estrada says Patriots. Good to see you, Junior. We Out Here Entertainment, shouting out the Raiders. Jack Tripper, shouting out the Texans. I didn't know many Texans fans existed. We got Steven says, Fins up. I got Ruski237. This is Miami Dolphins 4-1, baby. Let's see, what else we got here? We got Sinclair Walker saying Giants as well. Awesome. Very cool stuff to see people checking in the chat there. Who do you got? Thursday Night Football tonight, Broncos and Chiefs. Broncos in desperation mode. They might already be, their season might already be over as is. Taking out this Kansas City Chiefs team who, I'll be frank, Chiefs have not played to their full potential just yet. But as Big Tex joins me right now, he is hanging out with me here today. No Smitty, we got Big Tex here. I'm intrigued. I don't know about you, Tex. I get excited every single chance I get to see Patrick Mahomes take the football field, but I do not have a good feeling about tonight being competitive at all. I think if all goes according to plan, the Chiefs should be able to just beat the crap out of the Broncos tonight.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely think there's an opportunity for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs to – I don't know why my audio is kind of sounding a little not ideal, but that's okay. Honestly, I think this is an opportunity for the Chiefs to really set themselves apart from the rest of the pack in the AFC. Obviously, it seems like the NFC is a little bit top-heavy this year with the Eagles and 49ers still being undefeated, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. But I think there's a big opportunity for the Chiefs to really set themselves apart from the pack in the AFC and just get a statement win over what seems to be a reeling Broncos squad who I think has, one win on the season under Sean Payton in year 1? Or 2? One, yeah. So, I mean, if you want to silence the doubters, you got to blow them out tonight.
We got 2 believers in the Broncos, which is 2 more than I thought we would see. Drake in 29 is taking Denver. XD Gamer 22 says Broncos in a thriller where Russell Wilson finds his old self. I don't see that happening, but we'll see. Antonio Brown says refs are going to win today. Nate says Kansas City 73-3. Unapologetic Truth says Chiefs going to blow out the Broncos. I got Junior Estrada saying 20-23. Chiefs win. David says Kansas City. Nate says, and the Bears should have beaten them. I think the Chiefs handled the Bears pretty easily, actually, if I'm not mistaken, a couple weeks ago. But nonetheless, XD Gamer, what an awful take. No Mahomes slander here. We are a very pro Patrick Mahomes show here on NFL Daily. We'll call balls and strikes and tell it like it is, but Patrick Mahomes is the most talented quarterback to ever step on a football field. He's the best that we've seen talent-wise at the position, so that's ludicrous. But anyways, thanks for that. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, one of our new partners here at Chat Sports, Daily Fantasy Made Easy. Here's how it works. You pick 2 or more players, and they have a distinction, whether it's yards or catches, and a number attached, where you get to predict if they will have more or less than the attached number that they are assigned. So here's an example here. For this weekend, these are the prize picks I'm looking for in particular. Zach Wilson, his number is set at 194.5 passing yards. I've watched enough Zach Wilson to know that he's going to struggle. He's going to be back on the struggle bus. He's going to have less than 194.5. C.J. Stroud, who looks actually pretty good. This is actually not a knock on C.J. Stroud. Taking on New Orleans, his number is 242.5. I'm going to go less. I think that C.J. Stroud could still play well, but maybe not necessarily hit that number. So here's how it works. Take those picks, put them together, and you got the chance to turn $20 into $60. Great opportunities to make money with prize picks. And on top of that, they're offering a $100 deposit bonus, potentially speaking. All you got to do is go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the promo code CLNS for that deposit match and check it out. Sign up today and start getting your picks in. Who is the best team in the NFL right now? What do you guys think? Give us a team that comes to mind who you believe is the best at the moment. I got to tell you, the answer for me is either the Philadelphia Eagles or the San Francisco 49ers. Checking in the chat, Jack says Eagles, Junior says Niners, Unapologetic Truth says Niners, Nate says Niners, Carter says Dolphins, GM Evan Hinder says 49ers by a mile, Antonio Brown with a good one says Bears. Wouldn't that be something? I would put it this way, Tex. Here's a long-winded answer for you, so prepare accordingly. If you were to ask me who is the best team 1 through 53, I would say the San Francisco 49ers right now. But the elite talent level of Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and some of these playmakers the Eagles have, I would say in a one-game scenario, matchup-wise, give me the Eagles over the Niners in that case. So I know that's a long-winded answer. Best roster, Niners. But if I'm taking head-to-head, I'll go with Philadelphia, if that makes sense. What else we got here in the chat? Nate says Patriots. That's funny. Zombie Man says Taylor Swift's Chiefs. Shelley says Niners. Walter says Dolphins, best team and coach. XD Gamer, Saints, can't underrate them. I don't think the Saints are that great, if we're going to be frank. I know they look good this past week, but, I mean, it was against the Patriots. Let's see. What else we got here? Bravo Man 68 says Purdy Niners. Tony T88 says the Cowboys is his answer there. All right. What team's been the biggest disappointment so far? There's a lot of directions you could go with this one. For me, there's one obvious team, but there are some others out there. Who is the biggest disappointment? I got to go with the New York Football Giants. That is a team that had high hopes, that went all in on this year. They paid Daniel Jones. They brought in Darren Waller. They brought in Isaiah Simmons. They drafted well, and they have one win to show for it at this point. Brian Dable was built to be the next great coach in the league. There was a lot of excitement there, and they have just looked atrocious. And their one win is against a bad Arizona Cardinals team. To me, that is the biggest disappointment in the league so far. Who's been the biggest disappointment? Checking in the chat, Junior says the Patriots. That's a fair answer. Patriots have one win to show for. I didn't think the Patriots were that great to begin with. Jack says the Bills. Maybe disappointed to what our expectations were, but they're still within the playoffs if it started today. Lore says the Panthers. They're 0-5. I don't think anybody thought the Panthers were going to be good. XD Gamer says Chiefs because they haven't performed well. XD Gamer, that's a bad answer. Chiefs are fine. Nate says G-Men. Shelley says the Pats. GM Evans says Minnesota. That's another good answer. Let's see. Nate says Mac Jones not elite. GM Evans says Denver. That's a good answer, too. Although I didn't think Denver was going to be that great. Draken says the Falcons. GM Evans says Cleveland. GM Evans, which one is it? You said Minnesota, Denver, or Cleveland? Which one? And then I got Lore says Bears. So, XD Gamer, let me educate you for a second, okay? He says Tyler Bro. They haven't been really good this season, referring to the Chiefs. Let me explain something about the Chiefs, and then we can move on here real quick. In the early portions of the season, Andy Reid does not open up the playbook. They save all their good stuff for later in the year. This happens every year with the Chiefs, where their offense looks vanilla because they don't want to show all their cards, because they don't need to, quite frankly. So you will see a better version of the Chiefs later on this year when they have something to show and the games that actually matter. So it is, I would say, what you may think of the Chiefs, like, oh, they're not playing that great, whatever. They're holding something back. It's clear. If you watch that team close enough, they are. What show to start? Like the video. We're at 13 likes right now. Let's at least get to, I think, 20. That's fair. That's a fair number. I just need 7 more likes, and then we can officially get this show started, as we'll begin with our news and rumors coming up first. On our news and rumors segment, we'll be discussing possible trades for Saquon Barkley, the fire sale that is the Denver Broncos, and Mecole Hardman. Could he be out of New York with the New York Jets? We will discuss that. We did reach 20 likes, so that means we can get the show started. Later on, I got trade candidates and predicting their possible destinations at the deadline, and we'll do a mailbag. If you want in on the mailbag segment, use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the mailbag portion of the show. Yes. Just like this right here. Yep. All right. But to save you time in post, you can play the intro into it. Okay, cool. All right. We will begin our first segment of the day coming up right now here on this live edition of NFL Daily. Tyler Jones, Big Tex here with you. Let's get after it here on your Thursday. Thanks for starting NFL Week 6 with us right here on NFL Daily. Coming up on today's show, could Saquon Barkley be traded from the New York Football Giants, and what are the top destinations for the Giants running back? Also, a fire sale in Denver as that team is dramatically falling apart. Who could be headed where? And Mecole Hardman, seems like he just showed up in New York. He already might be gone. We'll explain more what's going on in that situation in a matter of moments. Before we do, a little challenge out there for our NFL fans. Do you want your team to win this weekend? Go ahead and like today's video if you want your team to win. Look, here's the deal. I have a list of everybody that likes the show and everybody who doesn't like the show. And if your team loses because you didn't like today's video, that's on you. That's your fault. Don't jinx it. Don't let it happen. Hit the like button. We'll get started here at NFL Daily. Saquon Barkley, speculation is rampant about his future, if he will remain with the New York Football Giants or if he will get moved with the trade deadline approaching. We all know the Giants are off to a bad start this year. Saquon's had some health concerns. Where could he end up? Bleacher Report's Alex K. weighs in, says the following. Rather than get nothing but a compensatory selection in return for Barkley, the Giants should be working the phones to see what other teams may be willing to offer. Getting a late day 2 pick from a team like the Baltimore Ravens, a club that has Super Bowl dreams, but lost starting running back J.K. Dobbins to a season-ending injury and has gotten mixed results from backups Justice Hill and Gus Edwards in the week since, could be the best path forward. Look, let's be frank. The Giants' season is over at this point. And if we're going to be honest here, although Saquon Barkley has been the face of the franchise for the Giants the last few years, he is a part of their past. He is not a part of their future. And as pointed out from Alex K there, if you let him walk in free agency and don't bring him back, you get that comp pick It's not terrible, but you're not maximizing the value that you could be getting. You trade him now, let's say you get a second or third round pick, and your season's already over anyway. You're just moving forward the inevitable, essentially, and getting more out of him. Saquon Barkley, a two-time Pro Bowler, as recently as 2022, was the NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Year back in 2018. And you talk about a resume, holds 5 Giants franchise records and 4 NFL records. He has been very, very good. This year, we mentioned, he's only played in a couple of games because of injury. But last year was the best season of his career so far, as he was able to manage 1,300 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns, 4.4 yards a carry. Whatever team looks to make a deal for Saquon Barkley is hoping to get the version that we saw in 2022. 3 teams in particular come to mind for me that could be in the market for Saquon Barkley. The Baltimore Ravens, as Alex K. mentioned in that Bleacher Report article, are desperate at the running back position. The Buffalo Bills could use some more ball carriers and some more explosive talent. And then the Kansas City Chiefs. Isaiah Pacheco's a solid back, but I think he's realistically a number 2. And we have seen the Chiefs have a history of being aggressive to get Patrick Mahomes weapons. Also, what do all 3 of these teams have in common? They're in the AFC. Look for the Giants, if they're going to move Saquon, to do whatever they can to keep him out of their own conference, and in particular, their division. Will the Giants trade Saquon? Y for yes, N for no. Pin comment today. Hit on the keyboard either that Y button or that N button, and let us know in the comments section below. The fire sale, could it be on in Denver? According to new reports, the Broncos are open to trading both Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, in addition to none other than Frank Clark, who we found out a couple days ago they were shopping of sorts that they intended to try to trade, and if they don't trade him, that they would release him, similar to what they did with Randy Gregory within the last couple weeks as well. Dan Graziano of ESPN, NFL Insider, gave some insights about what's going on in Broncos country. The Broncos in Sean Payton's first season don't look very good and could use some more picks to kickstart a rebuild. Expect to hear some prominent names in trade speculation out of Denver in the coming weeks. Why are they going this route? I'll explain more in a second, but first, today's show sponsored by Odds Are. Odds Are, a great partner here at Chat Sports, and let's make one thing clear, not a betting app, but Odds Are, its AI technology gives you the bets they recommend you should be making. Because let's face it, folks, luck is not strategy. We don't take your bet, we make you better at bets. Here's all you got to do. Download Odds Are now by going to oddsare.com/NFL Daily. And we are offering NFL Daily viewers a 30-day free trial to check it out and see for yourself. The link is in the comments in the description of today's video, so you can go check it out. And when you're scrolling through Odds Are, you want to look for the green values. Green means go. Red means stay away. The green values indicate those smart bets that Odds Are recommends. That way you can go big this weekend. You can bet on NFL games. The MLB postseason's going on right now. You can check that out, as well as other sports. Download Odds Are now. Terms and conditions do apply. Luck is not strategy. Link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Download Odds Are today. Now back to the Denver Broncos. Giving Sean Payton a fresh start, what essentially it does here, as far as the why factor in all this, is it buys Sean Payton time. Because Sean Payton knows there ain't any going back at this point, that the Broncos just are a bad football team and it ain't getting better this year. This season's over. And as far as the buying time side of it goes, not only does it get you ready for another year, a head start on 2024, but also puts you in a position to get the guys that Sean Payton wants in there. And we already know about him and Russell Wilson not being on the same page, but watch out for them to collect more picks, to get younger talent, and to get Sean Payton's guys so he can build this team in the way that he sees best fit. Let's go through some of those trade destinations. Let's start with Frank Clark. His two former teams would be very interested. The Kansas City Chiefs, they wanted Frank Clark. They just didn't necessarily want to pay Frank Clark when he went to free agency last year. The Seattle Seahawks are needing some help in their pass rush. They had 11 sacks against the Giants, but prior to that, pass rush was non-existent. And then the two LA teams, the Rams and the Chargers, they're kind of on the outside looking in right now. Both those teams are, and we know that both of them have help, have some decent talent, but they need players to assist the pass rush efforts. That's where Frank Clark can come in. Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, similar situations as far as both of them goes. Think of teams that need receiver help. Tennessee, New England, Carolina, Buffalo. We've heard about Carolina, even though they're 0-5, that they're still trying to build up that core for the long-term play, that they could bring in a guy like Jeudy or Sutton and then extend them and keep them around for a while as far as that goes. So where will Jerry Jeudy end up getting traded to? Go in that comment section. Tell me what you think that final destination will be, or if he just ends up back in Denver. Throw a team in the comment section and let us know. Last on today's show, Mecole Hardman, according to reports, the Giants are evaluating their options for the little-used Mecole Hardman. Mecole Hardman arrived not too long ago, free agency, from the Kansas City Chiefs, and they just haven't used him in this offense. He's been kind of phased out, similar to what we saw the Jets do with Elijah Moore, where you take a decent receiver and he's just not part of your plans, essentially. It's a weird thing going on there with the Jets. We've seen this track record of sorts. Mecole Hardman's not happy about it either. He had this to say about his role in the Jets offense recently. I'm probably the best in the league in space. That's a lot. Maybe the coaches see something different. I'm just waiting for the opportunity to present itself. I think when I was in KC, I proved that I was probably the most dangerous guy on the jet sweep, or whether it be on the end around or on the screen. I think I proved a year out that I was the guy that you have to worry about doing that. So that's Mecole Hardman, thinking of himself better than what's the actual reality here. Look, Hardman was never on the same page with Patrick Mahomes. If you go back and watch the film, when those two were playing together, you can see there was times that Patrick Mahomes got Mecole Hardman's face, and he's like, WTF. You were supposed to run this route, and you ran this route. You weren't on the same page. And it was a toxic relationship between those two, and it was Mecole Hardman's fault for the most part. So I'm not surprised that things haven't necessarily gone well with the New York Jets. For me, if you can't play with Patrick Mahomes, why would I want you on my team? Why would you be able to play with anybody if you can't play with the best quarterback in the world right now? I'm out on the idea of bringing in Mecole Hardman if I'm a team for that matter. His stats, playing with Mahomes, might I add you, are not that earth-shattering. This guy was a second-round pick. He had the opportunity to be the guy in Kansas City and just never could get the job done. Personally, the Jets, I understand, they may be shopping Mecole Hardman and all that, but I'm not giving up a damn thing, not a damn thing for Mecole Hardman. I don't care who you are. There's a lot of receivers out there on the market right now that are looking for new homes. I'm not wasting any breath on trying to bring Mecole Hardman to my team. I don't know how the Jets are going to get rid of him. They might just have to end up cutting him. Do you want your team to trade for Mecole Hardman? Do you really want that? You don't want that. Type T for trade. Type P for pass. Let us know in the comments section. Appreciate you guys joining us here on NFL Daily. Subscribe now for more NFL coverage each and every day right here on the channel. We'll see you next time. All right, one segment down, two to go. We will talk trade candidates and predictions of where they could end up coming up in just a moment. Will the Giants trade Saquon Barkley? Check it in on the chat. Christian says yes. Junior says no. Nate says no. What else do you guys think as far as Saquon Barkley goes? Weigh in the comment section and chime in. We did get a super chat that came in. Let's react to that. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Everybody spam Sam. Spam Sam. Producer Sam coming up big for us, helping us out. Not today. Not today. That's not acceptable today. Sam coming through, helping us out, and getting some stuff done here on NFL Daily. We appreciate Sam for his help there. Oh, yeah, no doubt. Underscore Steve with a $2 super chat. Bang! Says, what do you think the Giants pick and who? Where do you think? Okay. I think the Giants are going to have a top 5 pick, and I think they're going to be looking for a quarterback. And they will take whoever they can get. If they can get Caleb Williams, they'd love to have him. If it's Drake May, they'll take him too. If it's Shedeur Sanders, if it's Quinn Ewers, if it's Michael Penix, it's going to be a quarterback, and it's going to be a top 5 pick. Tex, I think that's a pretty safe assumption for the Giants right now is we don't know exactly what quarterback or if they're picking 1 or 5, but it's going to be in the top 5, and it's going to be a quarterback. So, $40 million. You know what I could have done with $40 million? Yeah, I would have done a little bit better than Daniel Jones. All right, trade predictions time. I'm going to give you 10 players. 10 players. And I will tell you where they will get traded before the trade deadline. I think all 10 of these guys will get traded, and I'll make my official predictions. Now, I'm not going to break down the trades. I'll leave the teams to let them figure that out. Okay, I'm not going to be the GM and orchestrate the trade. They can figure all the middle stuff out. But I can at least, be the matchmaker of sorts. I'll be Cupid in this case. We'll hear over that right now. Whenever Tex gives me the go-ahead, then we'll get started with our second of 3 segments today here on NFL Daily. We good? All right. 3, 2, 1. Valentine's Day is still a while from now, but that doesn't stop me from playing the role of matchmaker here on NFL Daily. On today's show, I have 10 players that I believe will be traded by the trade deadline, and I'm going to tell you where I think they are going to end up. We'll go over all 10, and I'll explain my reasoning in just a matter of moments. Before we do, if you want more NFL coverage, go ahead and subscribe to Chat Sports. Here's what I want to do. I want to see if we can get 20 subscribers off today's video. If we cannot get 20 subscribers off today's video, we might just have to shut the channel down. It's not a threat from me. It's a threat from the bosses. So you want us to stick around? Subscribe now. We'll get 20 subs off today's show and prove the bosses wrong. Let's begin with Brian Burns. I have him going to the Bears. It's pretty obvious that the Carolina Panthers do not want to pay Brian Burns. They offered him around $23 million. He's looking between $27 and $29 million. The Bears are a young team with a lot of money, a lot of cap space, and they need help at edge rusher. They need some pass rushers on that Chicago Bears team. And you think about the Bears' timeline. I know they got off to a rough start to 2023, but they played better as of late. That's a team that Brian Burns fits in their timeline, where you sign him, you extend him, and he's a part of this next era, this build of Chicago Bears football here. He's already off to a good start in 2023. 18 tackles, 4 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble. Brian Burns, I have as a good fit for the Bears. Number 2 on our trade predictions segment, Jerry, Springer fans knew what I was going at there. We got him going to New England. We're on to the Patriots as he joins Belichick in a team that is desperate for help at wide receiver 1. You guys remember that show, Desperate Housewives? That's Bill Belichick right now. I think Jerry Jeudy is one of the most underrated receivers in this league. And part of it has to do with that he has been given just a terrible circumstance of quarterbacks that he's had to play with in Denver, Russell Wilson included, that haven't helped him reach his ceiling. Now, I'm not saying that things are going to be any better in New England playing with Mac Jones these days. But you get him there, you get him a contract extension, I think you're going to say to yourself that it was well worth it to bring Jerry Jeudy to this New England team. So far this season, Jerry Jeudy, he's played in just 2 games to this point. 17 catches, 208 yards. Jerry Jeudy, I think, can be a 1,000-yard receiver every single season if all goes right. So Jerry Jeudy in New England makes sense. Number 3 on our trade predictions, Danielle Hunter. Don't ever call that man Danielle. Off to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I got to tell you, the Jags, this is a team that their identity, they still want to win with their defense, right? And after a slow start to some sorts, we know that the Jags are a contender. They're a team that is trying to take the right steps forward to be among the best in the AFC, but they're playing from behind a bit, right? You got to make up ground, and that's where Danielle Hunter can make that impact on that defense to put this team right in gear in the direction they want to go and come in with momentum, riding hot, right? 6 sacks already this year through the first 5 games, 9 tackles for loss. Danielle Hunter looks fantastic. Jags would be crazy to not want Danielle Hunter in their locker room. Where will Danielle Hunter get traded? Assuming he does get traded. It's our pinned comment today. Give me a team. And if you think he stays in Minnesota, just say Minnesota. Wait in the comment section. Give me a team you think he ends up with. Number 4, man, I really selfishly hope this happens. The Seattle Seahawks bring in Chase Young, edge rusher from the Washington Commies. Now, let me say this. I believe that the Commies have not utilized Chase Young correctly, not to his full potential to let him blossom a bit. Part of it is the injuries he's dealt with. Another part of it has to do with scheme. And it seems very clear that the Commies are not going to pay Chase Young long term. That's a team that is probably not really going anywhere this year. You put him in Seattle and under Pete Carroll and under Clint Hurt, their defensive coordinator. We know what Seattle does defensively and their track record when it comes to top defensive talent. Chase Young could really take that next step up and play if you put him in that Seahawks scheme. So far this year in 2023, he's got 3 sacks, 11 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. Watch out. I'd love to see him join the Seattle Seahawks and be a potential fit on that front there. Moving on now, we go to Philadelphia. That's where we find wide receiver Hunter Renfrow with the selection for Philly. Now, I don't think this would be a very expensive trade for the Philadelphia Eagles to pull off. I don't think they'd have to give up a ton to bring him in. And what we've seen from Howie Roseman over the years is he gets a lot of credit for being aggressive, right? But what he also does a good job of is finding value players and making them a sneaky find of some sorts. You add Hunter Renfrow to this offense with an elite quarterback like Jalen Hurts. You put him in the slot, relieve some pressure off of A.J. Brown. All of a sudden, you're talking about Hunter Renfrow having an opportunity to be effective and be kind of like a decoy of some sorts for this Eagles offense. So far, the Raiders just haven't used him at all. He's been phased out, essentially, at this point, with just 6 catches for 59 yards. We know that Hunter Renfrow can play at a high level, that he's capable. But he has to have that opportunity to be used and used properly. I don't think that the Raiders are the right situation for that. More names to get to in one moment. But first, today's show brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy sports. Here's how it works, folks. It's very easy. You pick 2 or more players, and you choose whether you believe they will have more or less of a given number. Let's say yards, receptions, whatever it may be, a stat line of some sorts. Maybe it's fantasy points. And for me, there's a couple in particular that have my attention this week. I like Zach Wilson to have less than 194.5 passing yards, and C.J. Stroud to have less than 242.5 passing yards are my prize picks. If I hit both those, let's say I put $20 down, I'm going to win 60, and you can too with prize picks. And on top of all that, of everything we just told you, we are offering a $100 deposit match when you sign up for Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the promo code CLNS at checkout to get that deposit bonus. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video for more. Next on the list, we're on to Cincinnati, where we find Leonard Williams going to the Bengals, whatever you want to call them. The Bengals are an interesting situation. They have cap space to spend, and they are playing from behind, which has been kind of a common theme of today. And a guy like Leonard Williams, who the Giants we expect to be sellers, this could be a statement move to put them back to the front in contention and change things up for that Cincinnati Bengals defense. Leonard Williams could be that much of a game changer. I like this possibility for the Cincinnati Bengals to bring in a player of this caliber and really just elevate things. We talked so much about Cincinnati with their offense, but you look at this type of move here, that changes everything for Cincinnati if they can get that help. They lost a lot on defense this past offseason, and they're still trying to make up for it. Look out for Leonard Williams, what he could do in Cincinnati there. More names that we'll get to here in just a moment. What I ask you guys, who's a player that will get traded before the deadline? I've given you a few names. Now, your turn to weigh in the comment section. Give us a few names as well of who you think is going to get moved. We continue with our trade predictions and turn our attention towards Rashad Penny, headed to the Los Angeles Rams from the Philadelphia Eagles. Seems like yesterday he just arrived in Philadelphia after he was signed from a tenure with the Seattle Seahawks that was up and down, where he was mostly injured. And now you look at the idea of him heading to the Los Angeles Rams. The Eagles aren't using Rashad Penny. And the Rams, they need help in their run game. Penny's got talent. The Rams are familiar with him from facing him in the NFC West for several seasons. Look at it, folks. Rashad Penny, I'm not kidding you when I say this, that he's not being used. So far in 2023, Rashad Penny has 3 carries. Uno, dos, tres. 9 yards. That's it. That's all they've done at this point. So I think you get him a fresh start. You get him somewhere like L.A., and that changes that offense, and that makes things better for Rashad Penny because nobody's winning by him having the role that he's at in Philadelphia right now. Another running back off the board, we go to Cleveland. That's where we find the Ernest Johnson finding his way to the Cleveland Browns. After Nick Chubb's injury, the Browns turned to Kareem Hunt to take over that role. They signed him immediately. And Kareem Hunt is kind of what the Browns had feared. We heard the speculation that they didn't want him before because they were afraid he lost his step, that he wasn't the same running back anymore. And turns out they were right. Kareem Hunt is not turning out the results the Browns' offense needs. They need to look towards other options. That's where Ernest Johnson checks in. And this is a guy that is being underutilized himself. 6 carries is all, 8 yards to this point. Fresh start in Cleveland. Alleviate that workload with Kareem Hunt. That could be a good balance between the two. Another running back off the board. How about them Cowboys? Tony Pollard gets another running mate besides Deuce Vaughn. I like Deuce Vaughn a lot, but they're going to need more than what they have now. James Conner could be that guy for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Conner is not a part of the Arizona Cardinals' future plans. And you look at where this offense is, they've already are gearing towards the future and beyond James Conner. So an Arizona Cardinals team that's well aware of who they are, I think they look at James Conner and they say, yeah, this might be our time to try to get something out of you while we can and build for our future here. Get some help along Pollard. You got a good 1-2 punch at that point. Deuce Vaughn, also an option. It's no secret. Mike McCarthy wants to run the football. That's why he took over play calling and fired Kellen Moore, because they wanted to go back to being a run-first team and run the ball. If you're going to be a run-first team, you got to have multiple running backs. James Conner, as, let's say, the RB2, could be exactly what the Dallas Cowboys are looking for. To me, that move makes sense for the Dallas Cowboys there. One more name before we wrap up on today's show. What team needs to make a move the most at the deadline? I've given you several. so far. Now your chance to weigh in. Tell me who that team is that is the most desperate at this point in time. Last but not least, the Kansas City Chiefs. Go tight end. Another weapon for Patrick Mahomes. Oh, no. Everyone else in the league is nervous with this one. Zach Ertz finds his way to Kansas City to play tight end. Can you imagine the two tight end sets with Travis Kelce and Zach Ertz side by side? That's game over for everybody else, having to deal with those two together. That's not even fair, okay? Look, Patrick Mahomes, with all the Jimmies and the Joes that he's throwing the football to right now, other than Travis Kelce, they don't have a ton of weapons on that offense at the moment. You give him Zach Ertz, and things change. Then you get Zach Ertz in single coverage because Travis Kelce's taking on the double teams, and this offense really opens up and takes a huge step. This would be a sneaky good move. And Zach Ertz still has some good football left in him. So far this year, 22 catches, 146 yards, and a touchdown score. For more NFL coverage as we catch you down towards the trade deadline, subscribe now to NFL Daily by Chat Sports, and we'll see you next time right here on the channel. Thanks for joining. All right. 2 down, 1 to go. What team needs to make a move the most at the trade deadline? As a Big Tex rejoins me right now, and we will have our mailbag segment in a moment. Use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the mailbag segment. Let's ask you all, what team needs to make a move the most? Young Noticeable says the Steelers. GM Evan Henders says Indianapolis. Shock says the Patriots. Cute animal videos. Nice. Says the Niners. Zach says the Patriots. And Young Noticeable says the Broncos. Big Tex,
Yes.
you're a Cowboys fan, as we noted earlier. Are you feeling like your Cowboys need to make a move?
This mic sounds brutal. Apologize for the static here, people's listening. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a James Conner trade. I think that Tony's great, but man, this audio is horrible. Sorry, guys. Let me turn that down. Yeah, I think James Conner, it would be a good trade, but I mean, honestly, this sounds terrible. Okay, maybe that sounds. Nope, doesn't sound much better. I apologize for the audio issues here, but
Okay,
yeah.
Tex, just make it quick.
Yeah, basically, yes. I think they need to trade for another running back. James Conner would be a nice piece to add.
Yeah. Thank you, Tex, for that. We need some questions for the mailbag. Tex, we need some more questions coming in. Hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the mailbag. I see Shock Universe has got a question. GM Evans got a question. _ Steve, we'll get to your question in the mailbag. That Super Chat you sent in earlier. Junior and Adrian, we'll get your questions in. I see several. GM Evan as well. Looks like we got a lot of questions. So about 8 to 10 minutes. And we'll go ahead and get going. This mailbag segment. And if you think of more questions as we're going along, feel free to send them to us. Hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get on the show. Tex, we all set? We are almost ready to go with our NFL segment. Christian, you got to use hashtag NFL or Super Chat. In this case, put it after the Tannehill question. Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. We will get going here. NFL Daily. Right now, we will go ahead and get started. It is NFL Daily mailbag time as we're talking trade rumors today. Before we do, though, shout out your favorite NFL player. Somebody to choose from. Who's your personal favorite? Let us know, and we'll get started on today's show. Our first question in the mailbag from Bill's Gotta Go. What are the chances the Titans trade Ryan Tannehill? What about the Patriots? Bill's Gotta Go with a very fascinating question. Tannehill in New England. Let's start out with the first half of that question. I think the chances are much better that the Titans trade Ryan Tannehill than they were a few weeks ago. The Titans are, I think, going to lose to the Baltimore Ravens this week. And we will start to see their season spiral downhill. They want to see what they have in Will Levis. Maybe they even potentially want to play Malik Willis if they need to. But Ryan Tannehill is not a part of their future plans. And if they can get something out of him while they can, I think they might actually make a trade. I'm still putting about a 35 to 40% chance that they make a trade. As far as New England goes, I don't think that's likely. I think the most likely scenario is that the Patriots go with Mac Jones, and then if he gets benched, then they go with Zappia for a bit, and then from there, who knows? It's Will Greer. If they go sign a guy, I don't see the Patriots in their position building for the future and the rebuild starting next year of wanting to give up draft capital and draft assets for a veteran, older quarterback that's past his prime at this point in time. But you never know. We'll see. I can't underestimate what Bill is going to do next. Where will Ryan Tannehill finish the season? Is he back in Tennessee still, or is he elsewhere? This is our pinned comment today. Weigh in and tell us where you think Ryan Tannehill is going to end up. _Steve writes in, what do you think the Giants pick and who? Referring to the Giants and their one-win start to the season, things have not been pretty in New York these days. And I got to tell you, _Steve, thanks for the super chat. I would say that the Giants, I don't know if they're going to be picking number 1 overall or number 5 overall, but I have a pretty good suspicion it's going to be a top 5 pick. And as far as who they pick, don't know that either, but it will be a quarterback. I think it kind of depends on how the board goes. If they're at 1, then you take Caleb Williams. If you're at 3, then you take Drake May. If you're at 5, then you go with Shedeur Sanders, or you go with, let's say, a guy like Michael Penix Jr., maybe it's even a Quinn Ewers, potentially. Depends on how the board shakes out at that point. The first 2 quarterbacks that will be taken, no matter what the teams are Caleb Williams and Drake May. And then everything else is up in the air at that point. _Steve, that's what I look at for the Giants. Thanks for the super chat. It will be a quarterback. It will be in the top 5. Laura writes in, should the 49ers trade for anyone in a trade? 49ers look really good. You bring in Randy Gregory. You've already traded off Trey Lance. And we've seen Shanahan and Lynch be some of the most proactive when it comes to making moves across the NFL over the last couple of years. I don't know what more they need or what they could add at this point because they look like a complete football team with the best roster from 1 to 53. So maybe they have something in mind, but they don't need to make a trade, but they very well could if they want to add some extra to it. What they do say is you can never have enough pass rushers. That's for certain. That's why they brought in Randy Gregory. Maybe they find another pass rusher or something. Jim Evan writes in, if Minnesota be able to waive Kirk Cousins, no trade clause, trade him to the Jets, here's my package. Vikings trade Cousins and a 4th-round pick for Zach Wilson and Michael Carter and Breece Hall. Huh? Why would anyone want Zach Wilson? No one's making any trades for Zach Wilson. Why would the Jets give up Breece Hall either? That one doesn't add up to me. Like, I know the Jets are trying to salvage this season. You don't give up Breece Hall when you're trying to compete. That trade doesn't make any sense. GM Evan, I hate to break it to you, but you're fired as the GM here in this case. No offense. No one's taking that trade. Kirk Cousins, we've talked about the idea of him going to the Jets potentially, but the other stuff, that doesn't work, Evan. Sorry to break it to you, man. Today's show is sponsored by Odds Are. Odds Are, one of our newest partners here at Chat Sports. And let's make one thing clear. Odds Are is not a betting app, but it's AI technology recommends the bets you should be making. Because let's face it, luck is not strategy. We don't take your bets. We make you better at betting. Here's how it works. You download Odds Are by going to oddsr.com/NFL Daily. for a 30-day free trial, and it has the list of all the NFL games going on this weekend. You can also bet on some playoff baseball and check out all the other stuff that they have going on. And you look for the green values. Those are the bets they recommend you should be making. Red means the ones you should stay away from. So, for all our viewers here on today's show, go to oddsr.com/NFL daily. Download Odds Are now. Terms and conditions do apply. Start that 30-day free trial now. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Bossman10 writes, could we see Mike Evans get traded at the deadline? So Mike Evans was a name that had been talked about with teams looking for receivers like the New England Patriots, the New York Football Giants, the Buffalo Bills. The list goes on of teams that would have been interested in Mike Evans. But the Buccaneers are better than all of us had anticipated. I was higher on the Bucs than most people, but I didn't think they'd be sitting here right now with just one loss on the season, a 3-1 record. To Baker Mayfield's credit, he's looked fantastic. He's played very well. That offense is cooking. Their only loss is to a very good Philadelphia Eagles team. And not to mention, Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield, despite some rumblings in the offseason, are on the same page. They're playing well together. So with that said, I don't know what the future holds for Mike Evans as far as getting a long-term contract and staying with the Buccaneers in the future. But for now, the Bucs are not going to trade Mike Evans. They will hold on to him because they are going all in on right now. They're in a very winnable division. I don't see him leaving. What are the chances Mike Evans gets traded? Scale it for me 1 through 10 in the comments section. How likely is that scenario from happening? Weigh in. Tell us what you think. Hey, Adrian. You like that? Says, do you think it makes any sense for the Texans to trade for Jerry Jeudy? I think that makes a lot of sense for the Texans and a number of teams to be in the market for Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy, I think, has incredible value. You're looking at a guy that you could trade for with a second or third round pick. The Texans need receiver help. The Texans are on the way up. D'Amico Ryans doing a great job. That team's got a lot of optimism right now. I don't think they're necessarily a playoff team, but they're ascending forward. Jerry Jeudy could be a good fit, and they have the money to pay him long-term to get him a new deal. Christopher Bryson says, do the Seahawks make a move by the trade deadline? History tells us no. The history says the Seahawks don't like to make trades, period. Since March of last year, they've made a total of 2 trades. One was Russell Wilson. The other was bringing in J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who they cut about a week or 2 later. History tells us no. A lot of people are talking about the idea of Frank Clark or Chase Young or another pass rusher. I think the Seahawks should make a move and go bring in another pass rusher. But I'm not anticipating that it happens at this point, Christopher. Stay locked in to NFL Daily for more news and rumors all season long as we're trying to reach our next milestone, 344,000 subs on the channel. Less than 900 away from reaching that point. Subscribe now for free and help us get there for more NFL content right here at NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Got time for a couple more questions here. Andrew says, can the Eagles trade Derek Barnett and a second-round pick for Brian Burns? I think not. Brian Burns, the asking price is going to be very high. Remember, folks, let's go back to last year. Granted, it was different management, different coaching staff, but the Panthers turned down not 1, but 2 first-round picks from the Los Angeles Rams for Brian Burns. That's not cheap. That's a lot of money and a lot of draft capital. I don't think that Barnett and the second rounders is getting you Brian Burns. Carolina wants a first-round pick, and rightfully so. Can't blame them. Tyler Jones burner. They even got my avatar and everything. Pretty good burner. Hashtag NFL. Who would be a good fit for T. Higgins to get traded to? The Patriots? Yes. 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 What's the Jim Carrey movie? Yes, man? Yes, yes, yes. T. Higgins would be wonderful in New England, and would immediately be their number one receiver, and would be a huge impact player. He could change Mac Jones's life. He could change Bill Belichick's life, quite frankly. But like all nice things in the world, it ain't going to be cheap. You're probably looking at a first-round pick, and then maybe a third or a fourth as well. Are the Patriots willing to do that? Here's one thing. I'll say this, and then we'll wrap up real quick. Okay, let's say Belichick has this idea. Says, hey, I want to do this. I want to make this trade first, third, fourth, whatever, and make this trade happen. Does Robert Kraft step in and say, look, Bill, I'm not going to let you give up my draft capital when you're not going to be here? How does that dynamic potentially work? Something to think about. But T. Higgins does make a lot of sense for New England. Should the Bengals trade T. Higgins? They probably can't afford to keep him with the other guys they're paying anyway. What do you think? Y for yes, N for no. Get in that comment section and let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time here on the channel. Boom! Bang! Yes, man. Great movie. No, man. No, man. No, man. The scene when he can't, and he's not allowed to say no to the elderly woman and has to sleep with her. That's hilarious. I loved Bruce Almighty, Jim Carrey. What's your favorite Jim Carrey movie, Chet? You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. Oh, he was. We're about to sign off. Folks, we'll be back here this weekend. Red Zone channel. Are you doing Red Zone this weekend, Tex? Oh, okay. So Allie will be here. Allie Barefoot will be here. I don't know who will join her, but somebody will be here with Allie. So we'll have our NFL Red Zone channel live this weekend. I'll be on our Ravens channel for a little early morning football from London. Tex didn't get the early game this year, but I still got to work the early game. And then I got the Seahawks after that on our Seahawks channel. I'll see you guys then. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy some football. Make it worth your while, and we'll see you next time right here on NFL Daily.